Welcome to the Berman Golf Podcast, where we're helping golfers over the age of 60 increase distance off the tee so that they can hit shorter irons into the green. Yeah, baby. You can visit us at bermangolf.com for more information and get ready. This is going to be a fun one. Here we go, baby, with the Berman Golf Podcast, formerly known as the Long Balls Golf Podcast. I am Dr. Jake Berman, the originator, the founder of the Berman Method of Golf Performance, where we help senior golfers move better so you can gain distance, improve consistency, and play more frequently. Today, I'm going to talk about a video that I uploaded on YouTube probably 2 or 3 weeks ago that has been gaining a ton of traction. So like I said, over the past 6 to 12 months, I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes research, trying to really fine tune and figure out what it is that I wanted to specialize in, get really, really nichey to talk to a specific demographic. And it really is senior golfers struggling with distance and consistency. The third most popular one is the ability to play more frequently because of aches and pains. So today I'm going to go over a very popular topic on YouTube, which is one of the ways to help a senior golfer who is struggling with flexibility. So you're losing flexibility, the way that you can increase your shoulder turn. And the reason why any senior golfer would want to increase shoulder turn is because in theory, you're going to be able to increase club head speed. And if you increase club head speed, you should gain 2.8 yards for every 1 mile an hour club head speed you increase it. So that, in a nutshell, is the only reason why anybody would want to increase shoulder turn is to increase club head speed. And generally speaking, or theoretically speaking, from the PGA of America, you should gain 2.8 yards of distance for every 1 mile an hour club head speed you increase. The problem is, it's just not true with senior golfers. And this is outlined in explicit detail in my book. If you don't have a copy of my book, go to the website, go to Amazon and look up my book, Berman Golf. It's an airplane read. It's super easy to read, and it outlines the physics of it, the laws of physics. I'm not going to try to explain it on this podcast because it can get really hairy and confusing. I'd rather you see it on paper. So it's a law of physics. You are swinging a lighter golf club, and you're swinging it slower, so you're not going to gain distance. Even if you do swing it faster, you're still swinging a lighter club, so mass has decreased. So it's still going to be insignificant or a wash, and you're not going to gain distance by swinging it faster. So that's besides the point. That's not what I wanted to talk about on this episode. What I wanted to talk about on this episode was how detrimental it is to close your stance in exchange for quote unquote, increasing your shoulder turn. Again, I just uploaded a video on YouTube about this a month ago or so. I'll make sure that this is in the show notes. The link for the video is in the show notes. So go and watch the video to get an explicit example, visual on it. So there's so many golf gurus on YouTube preaching to senior golfers, telling them to close their stance. What that means is your trail leg, if you're a right-handed golfer, your right leg, they're telling you to step backwards away from the ball with that right leg. So that closes your stance. And the reason why they want you to take a step backwards, and a lot of them are saying flare the right foot out. So you took a step backwards and you flared your right foot out. And they're saying that this is going to help you get a much bigger backswing. I do not disagree with that one bit at all. Yes, you are going to make a much bigger backswing. You're going to be able to get your back to the target. The problem is now you're making it almost impossible to not incite or elicit an over-the-top golf swing. Because here's the thing. If you already lost flexibility, so the reason why you're closing your stance is because you lost flexibility. As soon as you close your stance, it makes it that much easier for you to take the club back on an inside path. So you're taking the club back on an inside path. And if you're already taking the club back on an inside path and you've already lost flexibility, what in the world do you think gives you the chance to drop it back down inside even more on the downswing? It's physically not possible. It's literally not possible, because the reason why you're doing this in the first place is because you lost flexibility. When you close your stance, it makes you bring the club head back. During the backswing, you're bringing it back on a more inside path. So then when you get to the top of the backswing, the club head is already inside. So how in the world are you going to drop it? I'm doing air quotes right now. How are you going to drop it in the slot and make it even more inside for the downswing? It's not going to happen. Like, this is the definition of insanity. And here's the thing that drives me nuts, is the people that are telling you to do this are very technically sound golfers. The senior golfers that are doing this, like on the Golf Channel, there's one that you know, that the one that I'm talking about, you know who it is. He's got the pretty little blonde, and he's doing all of these techniques, and he's talking about senior golfers every once in a while. There's a reason why he's on the Golf Channel. There's a reason why they pay him a lot of money to be the face of that TV show. And he's telling you to do something that he's got the skills and the technique to actually execute. You don't. There's a reason why you're listening to my podcast, and that guy on the Golf Channel is not listening to my podcast. You, the average golfer, the one that's struggling to break 100, struggling to break 90, struggling to break 80, struggling because you lost 20 yards off the tee, struggling with your inconsistency. You don't know if it's going left, right, straight, topping it, chunking it. You're not good enough technically. You don't have the right technique to execute what they're telling you to do. So what I'm trying to tell you right now is you should not close your stance in order to increase your shoulder turn, because you don't have the right flexibility to execute an inside-out swing, which means you're going to come over the top. When you come over the top, there's really only two things that are going to happen after your early extension. The easiest way to ensure that you have early extension is to come over the top, because now the club has too steep of a path coming down, which makes it too long, which means you're going to have to stand up or you're going to run the damn thing right into the ground. That's the reason why early extension happens. And there's only two results that happen from early extension: a huge duck hook to the left, or a giant banana slice to the right. The duck hook left may go further, but it's not in play. The huge banana slice to the right just may stay in play, but you've lost 25% of the distance minimum on a banana slice, probably closer to 50. So yes, you gained shoulder turn. Yes, you probably gained club head speed. No, it was not worth it, because it resulted in a much more exaggerated over-the-top swing, which resulted in early extension, which resulted in either the duck hook to the left or the banana slice to the right. Now, yes, I'm sure that every once in a while you're going to get lucky and you're going to hit that one farther than you would have hit it if you set up in a neutral stance. Of course, there's always those examples where a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. The thing that I'm talking about here on this podcast is consistency. If we can find the fairway 12 out of 14 tee shots, we've got a much better chance at reaching the green in regulation. Think about it. Even if you have a shorter ball off the tee in the fairway, you're going to have a much better chance at reaching the green in regulation than a shorter ball in the rough or OB, right? That's obvious. So if we can consistently hit 12 out of 14 fairways, we've immediately immediately increased our chances for scoring better. But here's the better part. As soon as you start consistently hitting fairways off the tee, this magical thing happens in your brain. You magically start becoming more confident. And because you start becoming more confident, you switch from being a defensive player on the tee box to an offensive player on the tee box. And those of you, you know what that feels like, standing up there on the tee box, not knowing if this ball is going to go left, straight, or right. When you don't know if the ball is going to go left, straight, or right, it's really hard to give it all you got. But if you know that there's a 95% chance that it's either going to go straight or slightly right, now all you have to do is aim to the left side of the fairway. Because if you've taken the left shots out of the equation, we're no longer coming over the top, so we don't have the duck hook anymore. So it's either going to go straight or it's going to be a fade or cut, whatever you want to call it, a power fade if you want to go that far, even if you have a banana slice. If you could consistently hit a banana slice 9 out of 10 times, you can break 80. All you have to do is aim way left. It's simple. The problem is when you hit a banana slice and then you hit a dreaded straight ball and then a banana slice and then a straight ball, then a banana, then a straight ball, you can't do it. You can't score. So let's stop the insanity. Let's stop listening to these talking heads on the Golf Channel, these talking heads on YouTube who are so technically sound that they cannot relate to you, the 70-year-old golfer who has lost flexibility. But before you lost flexibility, your technique was never really sound to begin with. You were a master compensator. You were athletic enough to get away with some really good shots for the majority of the time until you lost your flexibility, and now you can't. So that golfer, that senior golfer on TV that shoots under his age the majority of his rounds, really can't relate to what you're dealing with. I can, on the other hand, because I was a horrible golfer. Really, really bad. I was so arrogant because I was so confident in every sport I ever played. I could just watch somebody do it, and then I could go reproduce it at a pretty good level. I was athletic. I'll humbly, confidently, egotistically say it however you want to say it. I could just go do it. Until this stupid game. Until golf. Because it doesn't matter how strong you are or how flexible you are. It depends on how well you can deliver the club face, centerness of contact to that golf ball every single time. So you can have the ugliest swing in the world, but if you can deliver the center of the face of that club face to that golf ball every single time, you can shoot a really good round. Problem happens when you start trying to compensate. So here's the thing that I want to end with on this one is when you close your stance, that is called a compensation. And you cannot do one compensation without creating another compensation. Think about that for a minute. If you're trying to get better at anything in the world, any sport, any skill, anything, the quickest way to get there is not by cheating. The quickest way to get there is not by compensating. You might get lucky if you cheat, but it will never last. You always get caught, and it never lasts. So if you compensate, you close your stance so that you can compensate. You close your stance so you can increase your shoulder turn. You compensate so you can gain club head speed. Now you have to create another compensation. And that compensation almost always comes from the arms, the hands, the wrists, and flippy and early extension and trying to manipulate it and creating tension and not getting through the golf ball and limiting your swing through. Like all of these things are the second order consequence that occurs The second you close your stance, you are immediately affecting something else somewhere else, which means you're going to have to compensate for that. So think about this. Golf is already hard enough as it is. It really is. It's stupid how hard it is. It's the simplest hard game on the planet. There's nothing easy about it. It's extremely simple, but because it's not easy and it's simple, it gets really, really hard because we overthink it, we overpower it, we do all of these things, and it's just stupid. So the worst thing that we could possibly do is make it harder than it needs to be. By creating two compensations, because one compensation creates another, you're exponentially making it that much more difficult to reproduce over and over again. Think about that. The key to this game is consistency. Look at Bubba Watson. I've mentioned him multiple times over the years on this podcast. He has one of the most unorthodox golf swings on the PGA Tour. He has one of the most unorthodox golf swings with a green jacket. But he was able to reproduce that unorthodox swing over and over and over again, which gave him the consistency, which gave him the ability to win tournaments and jackets. He's not doing compensations. There was no compensations about it. He owned his swing. And that's what we have to do. We amateur golfers, I'm including myself in this, I'm not 70 or 80 years old, but I work with you guys every single day, so I see it every single day. You're getting stiffer and stiffer, and you're swinging harder and harder, and you're losing more distance and consistency every single day. We've got to own what we've got, swing within ourselves, get really disciplined, and make it consistent over and over again. Once we get the consistency, then, and only then, can we add the power to gain the distance back. And notice I said power, not speed. Go back into my book and read that chapter again. Because we're getting older, we're losing strength, we're losing the ability to swing heavier clubs. We don't want to swing faster. The low-hanging fruit is adding power. So number one, get really consistent. You cannot get consistent with two compensations. Number two, after we get consistent, add power. That's all I have to say for you there. Had to go on that rant. It was driving me nuts. Absolutely driving me nuts. Click the show notes, watch the YouTube video if you haven't already. Share this episode with your buddy that closes their stance thinking that they're going to increase their shoulder turn, and let them know, listen, the reason why you suck is because you've made it so much harder to be good. Say it just like that. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're being as explicit as possible. At the end of the day, we just want to get better. We want to get better. We want to enjoy the game more. We want to be able to play longer. We don't want to be limited by aches and pains. You know, this is a great game. It's a great game when you can get distance and score well. It's a horrible game if you've got no distance and you can't score well. So let's stop the insanity, get some more enjoyment out of it. Like, subscribe, share this episode, and until next time. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. For more information, please go to BermanGolf.com. That's B as in boy, E-R-M-A-N, BermanGolf.com, and check out a ton of stuff that we have there. Or even better, go to our socials, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. Check us out everywhere. We've got tons of content going out every week. And please give us a thumbs up. Comment on the videos. Let me know what your questions are. Try to shoot holes in this. I'll do whatever I can to help you out the best that I can. Thank you, guys.